So we've looked at the types of slope, but now we want to ask, well, what is slope? What exactly are we finding when we find the slope? In general, slope is the steepness of a line. And it's actually a ratio. Slope is defined as the vertical change of a line over the horizontal change. And since the vertical change has to do with the y-coordinates, we can say the change in y-coordinates over the horizontal change would be the change in x-coordinates. Well, all of that's a little lot to write, correct? So we're going to be all fancy and we're going to say delta y. Delta is a Greek letter and it means change. So this is change in y over delta x, which is change in x. So delta y over delta x means the change in y over the change in x. And to find that from a graph, what we have to do is we have to pick 2 points on the line. So you'll see that there's a point here and a point here. And we're going to connect those 2 points using grid lines. By grid lines, I mean the horizontal lines and the vertical grid lines. We're going to use grid lines. We're going to connect these 2 points using a right triangle. It's got to be a right triangle and it's got to be grid lines. So it's going to look something like this. So I'm going to make my little, we're going to call it a slope triangle. Okay, so there and there. And we've got to find 2 things. We've got to find the change in y, that's your vertical change, and the change in x. So the change in y is your vertical change. So you're going to count how many spaces this is here. And I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is my vertical change. And then I'm going to count my horizontal change. 1, 2, 3, 4. So my horizontal change is 4. My change in y is 5. My change in x is 4. So my slope is 5/4. You always want to leave slope as an improper fraction. Do not change it to a mixed number, okay? It's okay to be improper. Now, the other thing you want to make sure you check, what kind of slope does this line have? This line has positive slope, so my answer is positive 5/4, okay? So let's look at the next one. We've got, this time, what kind of slope do we have? We're going down from left to right. So this line has negative slope, right? Has negative slope. We're going to connect using grid lines the 2 points that they've given us. We're going to count our vertical change. Our vertical change is 2 spaces. That's my change in y. Our horizontal change is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. That's my horizontal change. So my change in y is 2. My change in x is 5. So the slope of this line is negative 2/5. So let's look at our special cases. So here we have what kind of line? We have a horizontal line. We learned the 4 types of slope. A horizontal line has what kind of slope? 0 slope. So we're just going to say 0 slope. We don't have to show any work for 0 slope, but I do want to show you why it works, okay? So look at the 2 points that they gave us right here. Is there any vertical change? No, there's no up and down. There's no vertical change. So my vertical change is 0. What's my horizontal change? 2. So 0 divided by 2, 0 divided by anything is 0. So that shows you how a horizontal line has 0 slope. It has no vertical change, so 0 divided by anything is 0. Now, what about a vertical line? A vertical line, we know, has undefined slope. We can write that. We don't have to show any work, but we want to see why it works, okay? So look at this line. It's got vertical change, right? How much vertical change do we have between these 2 points? 1, 2, 3, 4. So my vertical change, my change in y is 4, but there's no horizontal movement, right? There's no movement left to right. So 4 divided by 0. Well, we can't divide by 0. Division by 0 is undefined. So the reason it's undefined slope is because there is no horizontal change and division by 0 is undefined. One way to remember this that might be helpful, if you have a 0 on top, that is okay, and 0 divided by anything is 0. If you have a 0 on bottom, that's a big NO. The 0 is on bottom, and that is undefined. So 0 on top is 0. 0 in the denominator is undefined. Sometimes they don't give you the points. They give you the line, but they don't give specific points. Now, how many points are on a line? Well, here's a point, 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 here's a point. There are infinitely many points on a line. We've got to pick 2 of them. Well, which 2 do we choose? Okay, here's the deal. Do you see where the grid lines cross and they make these little T's, right? See the little corners of the squares? Like that and that. You want to choose points that are on corners of squares, okay? So as you go on this line, now you can choose any 2, but I see how that point goes through the little crosshairs of grid lines? It's in the corners of squares. So I'm going to choose that point, if I can get my marker to work right there. And then I'm going to choose, let's see, if I come down, I've got another one like right here, right? So I'm going to choose another one there. Now, mine may be different from the ones you choose, and that's okay. But I want to draw my slope triangle. I want to find my change in y. My change in y is 1, 2, 3. My change in x is 1, 2, 3. So 3 over 3. I do want to simplify. You can make slope a whole number. You just don't want to make it a mixed number. This has positive slope, so my answer is positive 1. Okay? So look at the next one. The first thing you want to do is choose 2 points that go through the corners of squares. I see one right here, and I see one right here. See how those go through the corners of squares? You want to draw in your slope triangle. It's got to use grid lines. It's got to be a right triangle. This line has what kind of slope? It's going down from left to right. So this line has negative slope. I count my vertical change, 1, 2, 3. My vertical change is 3. My horizontal change is 1, negative 3 over 1. This has a slope of negative 3. Okay, here are 4 for you to try. Pause the video. You find the slope of these 4 lines if you need to, draw in the slope triangles if it's appropriate. Make sure you check if it's positive or negative. Some of them you have to find the points on. Then when you're done, turn the video back on and check your work. Okay, so I got positive 5/2, undefined, negative 4, and negative 1/4. If you made any mistakes, go ahead and fix them. If you have any questions, jot them down, and we will do some practice in class.